Last week, we saw a bunch of new footage for Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. There was so much to comb through, but I think I found just about every single detail worth noting. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time video. So new footage came out last week that brought a whole boatload of new details and information, from a new game mode to a slew of skins that will be added that are microtransaction free and many others. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll leave a card in the top right corner and leave a link in the comment section below. But this video isn't talking about the press release or what Lou said during the narration, but crazy old me going through all the footage frame by frame and trying to find the little details and hints. Now, if you love Crash or Spyro, I always cover any news, speculation, theories about these two classics. So if you want to stay up to date on all things Spyro and Crash, hit subscribe and hit the little bell to make sure that you're up to date on when I upload. Anyway, let's dig into the footage. So the first thing I want to talk about is how the game is likely going to work in terms of level themes. So we know that the level progression is going to work like Crash Bandicoot 1, where you clear a level and you move on to a more difficult one afterwards. We know that we are traveling a multiverse as well, and we'll be jumping into different times and ages within different multiverses. But it would seem that the different dimensions are treated just like different worlds, and within those worlds are levels that are themed to where you are. So, for example, we have Dino Dash, which takes place in the Agapiss dimension. But what we can see from this footage is that we are still in the Agapiss dimension, but in an entirely different level. What this tells us is that there will be a dimension where all the levels within it are prehistoric. We can see here too that this level is pirate themed. Look at the shark, which matches the theme of the level that we saw from IGN. And judging by the metal hull of the ship here and the icy river that's right beside it, this is likely going to take place in the 11th dimension in the same area as Snow Way Out. So we will see some sort of an ice fishing world, a pirate world, a prehistoric world, and all those worlds will contain levels that are resembling those themes. We also can see that a lot of new lighting has been added and changed in the game. Take a look at this level in comparison to the footage that was given to press from the reveal of the game. You can see that the reds and oranges have been toned down significantly, likely for clarity's sake. We can also see this iconic scene from the trailer has a bunch more color and depth and pops out much more in comparison to the same moment in the trailer. And in Snow Way Out, Cortex's timeline, we can see it's a bit more saturated and a bit more blue than the greeny teal that we saw before. All little color balancing changes that I noticed. Now, we're going to get to potentially the biggest story aspect of the entire trailer, the little sequence between Uka Uka, Entropy, and Dr. Cortex. Now, we can see that a hole was ripped in the multiverse, but judging by the fact that Cortex and Entropy are fighting, I doubt they had anything to do with it. But Uka Uka, on the other hand, seems to be screaming into the void, causing a rip into time and space. Now we can see right at the end here that Uka Uka seemingly gets quite tired. But in the next frame, we can see that Uka Uka is passed out, and Cortex and Entropy begin to walk through the hole. Now, I speculate that one of two things happened. Either Uka Uka used all of his energy to rip a hole in the multiverse and then passed out, or Cortex knocked him out with the stick that he's been holding between these shots, meaning that there could be some form of a betrayal aspect to the story, which could definitely affect it later on. We'll have to see. But then we immediately transition into the next scene where we are in a laboratory. Now, Entropy is looking onto a glass case, but if you look closer, the glass case encapsulates what seems to be what resembles as a new helmet and a suit for Entropy. Now, Entropy is the master of time, but now there's the discovery of a multiverse. The sheer idea to conquer all of time in different universes probably sounds too good to pass up. So what is likely happening is that they are developing a new and more powerful suit that will allow Entropy to travel throughout the entire multiverse. Now, in the background here, we can actually see Cortex doing well, grunt mechanic labor, making Entropy look like he's the one who's in charge now, especially with the fact that Cortex is helping him build a new set of armor. Then, in the next scene, we see this evil smile from Entropy. All this leads me to believe that in Crash 4, Entropy will be the main final villain and Cortex his unwilling lackey. I'm going to be going into more detail about this in a future video, so again, make sure to be subscribed so that you can pay attention for it. In this shot here, we can see that Coco has exchanged her laptop for a new tablet, but if we zoom in here, we can see the familiar Toys for Bob rocket that we see in their logo, similar to how Vicarious Visions had their logo on Coco's laptop back on the Insane trilogy. Now, like I mentioned before, we can see the lab assistants are back, but behind the lab assistant is monitors that feature our yellow fiendish fiend Dr. Cortex. We'll see more little Easter eggs like this later on in the video. When Aku Aku decides to wake up Crash on the Wumpa Islands, we can see him from behind. And as we can see here, Aku Aku's feathers haven't been able to stick around as much as they used to. So now we can see little tape pieces holding them onto his head, which is kinda hilarious. Now, after Crash wakes up from his nap, we can see the fridge has letter magnets that spell Crunch. Now, is this a hint that we could see Crunch in the game, or is this a cute little Easter egg? We'll have to see. But if we also shift over to here, we can see this purple surfboard that has familiar markings. If you're familiar with Crash the Titans, you would recognize that this design is the same as Crash's tattoos. Again, a small nod to the other versions and variations of Crash Bandicoot throughout the years. We can also see that when Crash spins here, the TV turns on when he hits it. Now, I got a feeling that if we were to stick around and watch, we would see even more humor and Easter eggs as TV ads. Then, when we transition to this hallway, I can't help but be reminded by Tiger Temple from Crash Team Racing. It's not, of course, exactly the same, but the colors, shape, and theme definitely fit the same vibe. Now, when we are cycling through the different skins that we can choose for Crash, there is a number of subtle references, like this one, being an 80s to 90s vaporwave style that's akin to Electron Avenue, but it also seems as though that Crash has what seems to be some form of a glowing power glove. Definitely an interesting addition to this skin. We also can see, well, what seems to be this ghost rat, which is an interesting touch in this area. Now, let's swing back to the Coco skins. We can see that one of them is her dressed up like Engine. The reason likely being is that she is dressed up like a fan of Engine and his band, so she would essentially be a Rocket Head fan. We also see a skin depicting her as some sort of a Cortex, perhaps modern day pirate, with an eye patch and an N on her forehead. But we also got what seems to be a light reference to Circus Megumi. Now, is this 100% a reference to Megumi? I'm still unsure, but the style is extremely similar. We see this space station in the middle of nowhere, and of course, you know, space, because that's where space stations are, and it's possible that this has some sort of relation to Gas Moxia. The resemblance to Danger Drive-Thru from CTR is definitely there, along with what seems to be a spaceship that looks familiar to Nitrous Oxide's ship. We also know that Gas Moxians are in the game in some way, shape, or form, so for this to be a possible Gas Moxian space station isn't too far-fetched of a thought. We also find out that in this dimension, there are metal-jawed sand sharks. Great, that's what we needed, sand sharks. They will also try and eat you if you jump across the platforms, so make sure you pay attention. But the funny part is that the game actually will warn you when they are there. If you look at the footage that we saw from earlier, there was a sign warning of said sand sharks on display for all to see, so make sure to pay attention. Also, we can see an image depicting of Engine's band, Rocket Head. Now, something we learned about Lanny Lolly is that if we phase an object in and out of reality, if your body is partway through it when it phases in, it will kill you. So make sure to pay attention when you're phasing objects in and out of reality. Now, Nitro Boxes have been changed back to the way that people asked. They now are on full display and say Nitro. Now before, when we saw them in the launch trailer, they were just yellow ends, and a lot of people seemingly did not like that. But Toys for Bob, once again, is hearing people's criticisms and altered the look of the Nitro Boxes. which is awesome to see that they are still listening. In this shot here, we can see what we can assume to be Cortex's castle. What gives away isn't the narrow stone hallway of doom, but the family photos that are posted, resembling what seems to be Cortex's family. You know, the giant letters on their clothes and foreheads as well, it all kind of matches. Now, later in the same level, we can see Cortex looking through the monitor at the progression of Crash and Coco as they run through his merry little castle. The biggest highlight of the trailer is that now you can play as Dingodile, which made me squee in joy. If we look around the trailer though, we can see a few things. First up, Dingo now has a black vest and now has more of his crocodile skin crawling up his back, resembling more of his croc nature than the previous iterations that we've seen before. We also see fish bones scattered throughout the trailer, along with this hilarious TV ad of Dingo's Diner that looks like me after I say a terrible joke to my friends. Dingo's gameplay works with a push and pull nature, being able to push objects away and suck them closer. We can see this mechanic in action for when he is breaking the boxes, as well as firing the TNT barrel. It also seems that he has a hover and double jump ability while using his new weapon of choice. Now we can also see that this is a giant vat of Wumpa juice that's being mixed, and behind it is what seems to be an advertisement of a bat that's enjoying said Wumpa juice. Later in the level, we can see Dingo's Diner explode into little bits, which is kind of sad because he just wanted to retire and make a nice little diner. But in the front of the diner, before it explodes, we can see Dingo with a giant fork and the cutest expression ever, inviting all to come and enjoy, well, whatever it is that he's cooking. When we switch to inverted mode, we can see that Crash now collects what is called Bumpa Berries, something that was introduced in the Crash mobile game as a weapon to throw at bosses, as well as something that we saw in the opening trailer of Crash rail grinding through dimensions and time. It's still unclear how these will be used because in the following footage, we can see that Wumpa Fruit is still a thing in inverted mode. So what use will these Bumpa Berries have? I'm still not sure. But in the following footage of inverted mode, there seems to be some sort of an echolocation mode where Crash's movements sends sound waves to reveal the surrounding area. A nice little touch that is definitely interesting. Now, the final detail is one that I'm still unsure about, but if it's true, Toys for Bob has really dug deep into Crash Bandicoot lore. Now it's unclear because it is in the stylized inverted mode, but we can see some little orange critter run away from Crash as he is spinning boxes nearby. Now, why is this so interesting? Well, it's because this might be a Bandicoot. Now, what exactly is a Bandicoot? Well, I made a whole video explaining all of this, but basically there was a canceled game done by Radical that was called Crash Landed, which was gonna be Crash's new origin story. Now, a Bandicoot was basically an unmutated Bandicoot. The whole point of the game was to save these Bandicoots from being mutated from the grasp of Dr. Neo Cortex and Dingodile. If you want to see more about this canceled game, I'll leave a card in the top right corner as well as a link in the comment section below. But do you guys think this is a Bandicoot? There's definitely seems to be some sort of a resemblance. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, and shout out to HP Zoner from Crash Mania for pointing this awesome detail out. So, that's about it for the different things that I found on these 5 minutes of footage. What did you guys think? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe for more Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time content. Thank you so much to all those who not only support the channel, but myself and my family. Because of your contributions, I'm able to do this full time. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider clicking the join button or becoming a Patreon with the link in the description. I also live stream every Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by and say hi. Again, thank you to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or live stream.